Palmer, I don't think it's any surprise that Darnell is going to the league.
No, not really a surprise. Certainly a big blow there with somebody that was a big contributor for this team. Like we said, not terribly surprising. I think sometimes thinking about that tight end room, and it's one that we're going to talk about a lot, considering one of the transfers was also in that group, and they've had 3 guys transfer out of that group. Darnell leave. You think about that tight end room, and you're like, wow, there's really not much left. Well, you still have Brock Bowers left, and that's a pretty good piece to have there for you, waiting and ready to help out for next season. So Darnell Washington, big loss, physically, literally, figuratively, in every way you want to put it, big loss there. They're going to have to find somebody that can step into his role. There's not 6'7", 6'8", 280-pound guys that grow on trees. But they're recruiting one that's pretty pretty big specimen at tight end as well. Nation's #1 tight end, Deuce Robinson.
Yeah, it's tight end U, and Coach Todd Hartley has done an amazing job of reinventing Georgia, and he knows how to recruit that position and develop it. And when you have both pieces, it makes for a pretty scary proposition for Georgia's opponents, both on the field and on the recruiting trail. When you look back at Darnell Washington's career, Palmer, if you can assess just how close he was to transferring and what Brock Bowers' ascension did for Darnell last season. I mean, you go back to him as a recruit, Georgia gets him out of Vegas, and he's just a huge guy, an amazing talent. But Brock Bowers, there's only one of those guys too. He's an All-American. Can you imagine? I don't want to make you put words in Kirby Smart's mouth or anything if you don't actually know how it went down. But can you just imagine the sales pitch it might have took to keep Darnell Washington on the roster? And you look back too, Arik Gilbert joins the team. We didn't know how much of a factor, how little of a factor he would be, but it's really a Herculean effort for Georgia's staff to keep that tight end room together.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're talking about, the pitch that they probably gave him, all you got to do is look at the stats that he had this year, and the production that he had. I think that they wanted to assure him that he was going. I would imagine he wanted some assurance that he was going to be a part of the plans, that it wasn't just going to be a one tight end deal. And, hey, if we're going to have a tight end on the field, it's going to be Brock Bowers, Darnell Washington on the sidelines. No. And I think that based on the way Georgia played this year, how much two tight end set, how many two tight end sets they were running, and the production that Darnell had himself. I mean, 28 catches, more than the 17. Comparing the stats that he had this season alone to the ones that he had going into the 2 previous seasons combined, 28 catches this year. That's compared to 17 prior to this year. 454 yards compared to just over 300 that he had in the 2 previous seasons combined. 1 touchdown in the 2 previous seasons combined, 2 this year. That single high games came this year. Darnell, the sales pitch that they gave Darnell, I don't know exactly what it was. I don't want to put words in Kirby Smart's mouth, but I think that you can very clearly see the result of it, the result of what they were selling, and that is the production that he had. He was healthy all year long, with the exception of going into that national championship game. I say he was healthy all year long. Kirby tells us, just how beat up he was and how physical some of these challenges were, that he had a shoulder pop out, that this and that. And, teams were cutting him at 6'7". So maybe he wasn't as healthy as we all thought he was, but, he didn't miss a game, as opposed to missing time, that he missed 4 games the year before, had missed spring practice. This is the season that we saw from Darnell Washington is what Georgia fans wanted to see all 3 years of his career. And I think that when you've got a 6'7" freak like Darnell Washington is, You can dream up ways that you want to use him. And Todd Monken did that this year. And Todd Monken followed through on those. So I would imagine the sales pitch to keep him around was telling him, hey, this is what we've got dreamed up for you. And they made good on their word.
Yeah, Kirby said after the Natty that Darnell's efforts to play will always hold a special place in his heart. And that is pretty high praise from Kirby Smart, a guy that deals with a lot of top-level talent. And Darnell Washingtons don't grow on trees. So Georgia will miss that guy no matter who they recruit in to replace him. And I can't wait to see him in the league because he looks like he's ready to go.